Good morning. It is Tuesday, March the 22nd. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. We lead our news with this one. The Barbados Light and Power Company today shedding some light on the reasons behind recent frequent power outages across the country. In a statement, the Manager of Communications, Government Relations, Jackie Marshall-Clark, revealed that there are three main problems which have been plaguing the network. The first is what Ms. Marshall-Clark calls third-party incidents, which many of them have been vehicular accidents involving the company's utility poles and lines. According to her, there has been a spike in these incidents over the last few weeks. We will get into the details of this story very shortly here on the Morning Report. Let's look at some of those local COVID-19 numbers now. A total of 67 people, 32 males and 35 females tested positive for COVID-19 on Sunday. That is out of 541 tests conducted by the Best Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The cases comprise 14 persons under the age of 18 and 53 who were 18 years and older. There were 48 people in isolation facilities, while 907 people were in home isolation. Two women, ages 55 and 60, succumbed to the virus on Sunday. They were both vaccinated. As at March 20th, the viral illness had claimed 329 lives. The Public Health Laboratory has meanwhile carried out 603,651 tests since February 2020 and recorded 57,800 COVID-19 cases. That includes 26,799 males and 31,001 females. In news a bit further afield, residents in the Grand Bahamas are expected to benefit from a new cruise port on that island. The government there has announced the project will provide many employment opportunities for Bahamians.
We have been working in partnership with Carnival Corporation on finalizing all permits and approvals to start the Grand Bahama Port project. Carnival has shared that they are committed to developing a Bahamian experience in this new port. This project will provide opportunities for many entrepreneurs and employment for the Bahamian people, both during the construction period, which is expected to last for 2.5 years, and during the operation of the port, once open, which is now scheduled for November 2024. We have made significant headway in our discussions and are close to finalizing all that is needed to start project, and with that said, we are now happy to say that we are now targeting a groundbreaking ceremony this coming May 2022.
The Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper reconfirming his support for the Carnival Grand Port and the potential employment and economic boosts.
We expect this project to begin soon. I will not belabor the point except to say that again, we expect that during the construction phase, there will be an additional 500 jobs at the peak of construction.
Taxi fares are under the microscope over in Jamaica after an investigation found that taxi operators are charging more than legally allowed. The Transport Minister responded to the investigation and also addressed the other issues in the transportation sector. We hear more in this report.
Transport Minister Audley Shaw is warning taxi operators against overcharging commuters. The call comes amidst reports that fares on some routes have gone up. A Sunday Gleaner report on taxi fares across the island indicated that 35 of 47 taxi trips investigated were overcharging passengers. On one route in St. James, the Gleaner investigative reporter was charged $500, nearly 3 times the legal fare of $180. At a JLP Area Council 3 meeting in Clarendon on Sunday, Mr. Shaw said any fare hike outside of the 15% increase in August last year is illegal.
The operators to stop going out on their own and driving up the prices at points where the consumers cannot afford to be transported by them. More to come on that. I'll be doing much more research and the consultation with the sector.
While the government is prepared to meet with operators on fuel and fare challenges, he said taxi and bus drivers must immediately fix some issues.
It's also a question of discipline. We need to bring back discipline and order into our transportation system.
Well, we got a lot more news coming your way. We'll take a break here and come back with some breaking news coming in overnight. We'll give you the update on that Barbados Light and Power story, as well as you'll have that update on the situation in Ukraine right now. In news from police, a 29-year-old man has lost his life following a stabbing incident at Harborview, Pineland, St. Michael. This occurred last night. He has been identified as Shay Gibbons, who lived in the same area. Police say the incident was reported around 20 minutes to 9, and on responding to the scene, they found the victim lying motionless with several wounds to various parts of his body. Ambulance personnel found no sign of life on examination, and Gibbons was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner who visited the scene. Investigations are ongoing. Meanwhile, this story coming from the Barbados Light and Power Company about the reasons behind some of those frequent power outages across the country. The Government and Relations and Manager of Communications, Jackie Marshall Clark, has been explaining and revealing that there are three main problems. The first is what she calls third-party incidents, with many accidents occurring with utility poles and lines. According to her, there has been a spike in these incidents over the last few weeks. Here's what she had to say.
Third-party incidents refer to vehicles striking poles or vehicles hooking the utility wires, causing damage and resulting in an outage for customers in the vicinity. While these incidents can never be predicted, we encourage drivers to be attentive and use the highways and the byways safely. Light and Power has also reached out to companies with high-load vehicles to remind them of the clearance height of 16 feet from the overhead wires and to provide them with high-load safety tips for their drivers.
The other two issues faced by the BLMP go hand in hand: high winds and kites, which with the latter proving to be a real nuisance for the Barbados Light and Power Company in the last few weeks. The BLMP manager explains.
We've also seen the impact of high winds. Occasionally, strong winds can cause power lines to come into contact with each other or cause tree branches to bend or break and contact the lines, creating a network fault. Kites on power lines can create a similar fault and can result in outages for customers too. We have been dealing with such occurrences in communities. As an example, last week, as a crew dealt with one kite incident in the Grisettes area, another report almost at the same time from the Goodland district required the same response from that service crew. We recognize that the kite flying season for 2022 has started in earnest, and many persons are re-engaging in the activity since the COVID-19 restrictions are being lifted. So I'm taking the opportunity to urge persons to, yes, have fun, but while doing so, please fly kites safely. Remember to fly kites in open spaces with no power lines. Unsafe kite flying practices can damage transmission and distribution infrastructure, but more so, lead to power outages for our customers. If not as an immediate fault, later as a temporary disruption of power supply to customers in order to safely remove the kite from the lines.
Let's put the spotlight on Ukraine now, and residents in the second largest city, Kharkiv, are reeling from nightly Russian strikes and bombings. However, the Ukrainian military has been pushing back against land-based attacks and against all odds.
An eerie silence hangs over Kharkiv. With apocalyptic scenes. The center of the city, frozen like a page in history, standing still for the world to see.
There was a huge explosion that was heard all over the city center. I lived quite close, so I myself heard it, and the walls were shaken. And after that, there were several another airstrikes in the following days. I walked on the street thousands of times, and there were so many like little coffee shops or restaurants on the first floors here, and people were living here. My friends were living in these houses, and so now there is no place where they can come back.
Since the start of the war, Maria has refused to leave her home city in northeastern Ukraine. She stayed to document what the Russians are doing.
Here, during the Nazi occupation, so even the Nazis during the World War II didn't destroy the buildings, and now they are in ruins because of the Russians, who are our neighbors.
People here think that one day soon the damage can be fixed and buildings reconstructed. But the impact of the war on the minds of people in Kharkiv will be harder to overcome.
The Russians thought they could just walk in and take this city, but they were mistaken. They were met with fierce Ukrainian resistance, and as a result, to punish Kharkiv, they ripped out its historical heart.
For weeks there's been bombing day and night. Once a city of 1.5 million, many have left. Some of those who remain struggle for food. This man brought frozen chickens and bread to donate to those in need.
I hope the war ends soon so that our children can live. May Putin be gone.
And as the sound of artillery fills the sky, people head to the underground station to hunker down for the night. Every space is taken, including inside the trains.
I'm sleeping here. We took the mattress and pumped it up, and more or less settled down. Some people sleep here or on the floor. We also eat here. The food is so-so. Volunteers bring it to us.
But as the doors on the subway are closed for the night, there's hope here. The next day will bring an end to the war.
A tough situation for so many living there in Kharkiv in the Ukraine. Let's go over now to Wendy to find out what's happening on today's edition of Mornin Barbados. Wendy?
Well, good morning to you, Shane, and good morning to our viewers. Coming up, Shane, we'll be actually going to your old school. The Combermere School All Scholars alumni will be telling us all about pluming wings and exactly what's going to be going on with that particular fundraising event. We will also be talking to the Barbados Trust Loans. We're going to be talking entrepreneurship once more. What have they been up to? The doctor will also be in the house. We'll examine a number of issues with not just our babies, but also our young toddlers as well as teenagers. So lots more to come on Morning Barbados, Shane.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Coming up here on the Morning Report, no need to worry about the National Insurance Scheme. That's the word from the Labour Minister. You'll hear what he has to say. And we'll go to the Senate for some of that debate in the upper chamber on the appropriations bill. Details on these stories and more next. Labour Minister Colin Jordan reassuring Barbadians this morning there's no need to be worried about the National Insurance Scheme and the availability of funds. He made the point during an episode of One-on-One produced by the Department of Public Affairs. Minister Jordan says the government has made a commitment to ensuring social safety nets are maintained for citizens. He went on to say that the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic saw unprecedented levels of claims for unemployment and severance. Let's hear what the Labour Minister has to say about this situation.
In terms of if the money is there, that is one of the questions that people will ask. Is the money going to be there? We've been very clear that governing is about choices. Plain and simple, governing is about choices. We choose to make sure that our social security system, that our social protection mechanisms are always well funded, always well provided for.
And the Labour Minister says government has taken the necessary steps to replenish those funds.
The request that has been made from the National Insurance Department is for about just over $160 million for recapitalization. Government committed, Cabinet made that decision some months ago, and we've already voted in Parliament the first 50 million of that 163 million, and that has already gone to the National Insurance Department.
5 days of cricket at Kensington Oval has resulted in a major boost for the tourism industry. And although too early to determine the exact numbers, the Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Senator Lisa Cummins, says cricket has had a positive impact on Barbados' domestic economy. She spoke with Crystal Hoyt at the Mecca over the weekend.
What does having cricket here in Barbados mean for the tourism industry in particular?
Well, I mean, this is, first of all, the Mecca for cricket in the first place. And so it means that it's always going to attract a large number of persons, especially coming from the UK. So here we went earlier when we were walking through the stands, we saw the Barmy Army team, we were there, the organizers. We also saw people who were here and who are based in the region, but who have come here to Barbados after 2 years to be able to enjoy cricket. So the volumes that we're seeing here over the last 5 days, this has been a significant boost to the domestic economy.
She says there's been an obvious benefit to local businesses.
The snow cone vendors have been able to benefit, the shops have been able to benefit, the restaurateurs have been able to benefit up and down the coast and everywhere in between. You could not get into any shop or bar or restaurant in the country. Airbnb, it's not just hotels that are full, all of our villas are full. So that's been critical for the economy, rental car owners, all of those businesses. In our manufacturing sector, you have rum and you have all of the various products that are iconic Barbadian that are here at Kensington Oval, but they're benefiting from increased sales. And that is what tourism is all about. That's really the big business of it.
The tourism team, including new BTMI chairman Shelley Williams, was on the ground interacting with visitors. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Now, with Barbados already reaping some economic spin-offs from that current West Indies versus England series, a government senator is advising officials to consider submitting a bid to host the final of the 2024 ICC T20 Men's World Cup. Senator Gregory Nichols made the suggestion during his first speech in the Senate this term. The approximately 10,000 British supporters on the island, he said, a lot of business, particularly those in accommodation, rental cars, restaurants, and even service stations, have all seen an upturn in their fortunes. Additionally, Senator Nichols stressed the island has the capacity to accommodate and facilitate a sporting event of this magnitude.
We have had so far, Mr. President, since the stadium was rebuilt at Kensington Oval, 3 World Cup finals of ICC tournaments. We had the World Cup 50 over in 2007, and in 2010 we had the women's and men's T20 international final at Kensington Oval. We have the capacity to host beyond that of many other Caribbean countries and our neighbors. We have certain competitive advantages in terms of the rooms, and we have the hotels, we have the restaurants, we have the infrastructure. And the truth is that people like Barbados.
In more news from the upper chamber, there's a call this morning for the reintroduction of tax incentives once associated with the registered retirement savings plan. It's coming from the independent Senator Lyndall Nurse.
It may have been a good idea to reintroduce at this stage an incentive which was taken away some years ago. I speak, and an incentive I'm talking about, I'm speaking about tax incentive. The tax incentive of which I speak is the registered retirement savings plan, which allowed persons to be able to make contributions into a registered retirement savings plan, which would in effect supplement their pensions.
Now, Barbados will be rolling out a new paper currency by the end of this year. The revelation is coming from the central bank governor, Cleviston Haynes, who says the new notes will be made of polymer. According to him, while the central bank is committed to reducing the use of cash, it recognizes that there are still many Barbadians for whom cash is their principal means of payment.
With this transition to polymer, we will be able to offer Barbadians banknotes that are highly secure, with features that are hard to simulate, yet easy to authenticate. While counterfeiting is not currently a major concern in Barbados, we recognize the need to be proactive in this area. There are also other benefits to polymer. including that the notes are more durable and as such remain in good condition longer and have an extended lifespan. Countries such as Canada, England, and closer to home, the Eastern Caribbean territories, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica, have made the change for similar reasons.
Mr. Haynes says the change in material will mean the notes will have a different feel, but some things will remain the same.
Among them, the denominations, the colors, and the noted Barbadians who are featured on them. The value of the notes will also remain the same. We will unveil the designs of the new banknotes in early May to give Barbadians a chance to get to know both the design and security features before they are issued at the end of the year. I therefore encourage you to visit the bank's website and social media channels regularly over the next few months, as well as to pay attention to your usual media channels to get more information about the new banknotes so that you are familiar with them well before they go into circulation.
In sports now, live action as Australia does battle against Pakistan in the third and deciding test in that three-match test series. Of course, it's drawn level at 0 apiece. Australia in the driver's seat so far, scoring 391 in their first innings. Usman Khawaja in the runs again big time with 91, falling short of yet another century. Also in the runs, Cameron Green with 79. Alex Carey, the keeper, 67, and Stephen Smith, 59. For Pakistan, the main destroyer, the main wicket taker is the opening bowler, Shaheen Shah Afridi. He took 4 for 79 from 24.3 overs. Also taking 4 wickets for 58 runs was Naseem Shah. In reply, Pakistan so far are 20 without loss. Of course, we will continue to update you on this match in our subsequent sports newscasts. Let's take a look at the weather now. Nice and cool on the outside as the temperature hovers around that 24 degrees Celsius mark. It's cloudy and slightly hazy, and the relative humidity is right up there to 86%. The barometric pressure is 1013.7 millibars, and those winds are coming out of the east at 24 kilometers per hour. There will be a low tide in the afternoon at 21 minutes to 1. The high tide will come our way around 9 minutes after 7 tonight. Those seas are moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2 meters and holding steady. Today in Barbados, we'll get a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief isolated light showers. And tonight, we'll have a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. And here's a quick look at the international weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. Up next is Wendy Burke with Mornin Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Hello and good morning. It's Morning Barbados time. Here's hoping you got up on the right side of the bed and you are ready to charge this terrific Tuesday. I'm Wendy Burke bringing it to you this morning. Now, first up, we're going to be having the Combermere School Old Scholars. We're going to be having the alumni from Barbados as well as the USA. And what are they here to talk about? A fundraising event. They're raising funds to do some special things for the school. I want to welcome Mr. Peter Headley as well as Harcourt Wason. Now, Pluming Wings, which is a fundraising event to assist with the construction of the Combermere School Sports and Recreational Center. Their event, well, it's still coming, but a little later. Good morning to you, Peter. And good morning to Harcourt. Okay, now let's go on to just talk a bit about the event whilst we try to get that little technical hitch sorted. Now, the reason behind the fundraiser is because the alumni saw the need for the school to have a pavilion. And this, well, not a pavilion, to go beyond a pavilion and actually have a sporting facility. The facility will also serve as a small sporting museum where they will be placing a number of different items within that museum that would have come from some of the famous sports personalities who would have attended the institution there at Waterford. Now, the event was supposed to have been a little earlier, but it will now take place on April 24th at the Frank Colomer Hall. Now, it's going to be a major event because it will feature some of Combermere's finest. We're talking names like Arturo Tappan. We'll be having Betty B. And also Dr. Sean Jackson and Chantal Martin. They will also be joined by the Mighty Gabby and David Ziggy Walcott. Now it's going to be a combination of alumni as well as other top performers within Barbados. So it's going to be something to look forward to at the Frank Colomer Hall, and it is all in the interest of raising funds for these young ones. Now they're going to be having a dual type event in that there will be a cocktail reception which moves from 6:30 until 7:30, and then there will be a musical concert which goes from 8 until 10. Now, I want to say a pleasant good morning once again to Peter Headley and Harcourt Wason. Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you today?
I am well, and how are you?
Pretty fine. Having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we'll make it through.
Yes, we have to make it through because that's the Combermere way, isn't it? Up and on.
You've definitely got it right.
Up and on.
Pluming the leads.
All righty. Now, tell me what might have caused the setback in terms of the date, because we were supposed to come at a different date. What caused the setback?
Yes, unfortunately, some of the artists that we had asked to perform have been commanded to go to an event overseas at the last minute. So we had to reschedule everything that we were doing so that we could have them to have our concert become a success. And that's the main reason that, if you want to call it national duty, without going into too many details. But that was what really happened. That was what really happened.
Fine. As long as they're representing Barbados and showing what our culture is all about, we can wait just a little longer to have pluming wings, because we're sure that it will make the event even better going forward. Good morning to you, Harcourt. Okay, now let's continue with you, Peter. I'm sure you can steer this ship along. Now, Peter, in the U.S., have you been encouraging any of the alumni from there to perhaps come in to be a part of the event, especially with our restrictions having changed and so on now?
Well, yes, a tremendous amount of people have shown interest in coming down to the event. Now that we have had to reschedule, obviously we will have to re-engage them again to let them know that we still need their support. But yes, we've been having very overwhelming support for this event, because the overall picture is that, if we can get that new facility up at the Waterford complex, it will enhance not only Combermerians but the whole of Barbados, because we're trying to improve our sporting fraternity into a different a better level. So yes, we've been getting a lot of support in that regard.
Okay, Harcourt, are you there with this now?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, what does the creation of this facility at the school compound mean for you, Harcourt?
Well, personally, it means a lot. Having gone to school there, having taught there for a number of years, and seeing what we have come from in terms of the housing facilities for players it would be a big achievement. We went from basically nothing when I went to school in 1966 up to in 1986, I think it was, we were able to put together a pavilion with the help of the PTA and the old scholars, which is what we have now. But I think that has outlived its usefulness. So it's really a great idea to have a facility that is friendly to players, spectators, and of course the students and the entire community, because Combermere is a community in terms of the Waterford community itself. And you know, for those who might want to use the facility for whatever reasons, because it's not going to be solely for us at Combermere, but we open it to the public for rentals. We would host games, we can host track events, football events. So it really means a lot to me.
Okay. Now, if I can just skip back here to Peter. The last time that I spoke to the alumni out of the U.S., we hadn't yet placed a price tag on the building because some more work was still being done. Your engineers, your architects, etc. Have we gotten further along in that part of it?
Well, at this time, I would not want to preempt what the president and the operating engineer would say, but I think it is in the range of a $3 to $4 million price tag. At this particular moment, that is what has been, you know, given that type of range.
Okay. Now, along with the pavilion, well, not pavilion, it's actually going to be a full sporting and recreational facility. Alongside of that, are we looking to improve or enhance any other things at the school, or are there any other projects that you're looking to do in the interest of children at the institution, whether it be in sports, music, athletics, what have you?
Well, I can speak from the Combermere USA. We've been doing a lot of projects and helping a lot of Combermerians with you know, that were in serious need. Yes, we are looking at some other expansion in terms of what we can do for the school, but at this time we're just going to take one step at a time. We have had the instrument drive, which was making sure that instruments were given to the lab to help improve the science intelligence of the kids. But there are some other things that we're doing that we have in the pipeline that will definitely be on hold as we continue to pursue this fundraising situation towards the
Okay, so Harcourt, we know what Peter's doing on his end. What has the alumni, the old scholars here in Barbados been doing, not just in terms of bringing Pluming Wings together as an event, but also in terms of other projects that you've been reaching out to for current students as well as perhaps alumni?
Well, for current students, we have been, especially in the last 2 years where things have been quite hard in the country, we have been trying to raise funds, seek donations to assist those in need. And currently, there's along with the actual formal Old Scholars Association, I know there are some groups of old scholars who are doing the same.
Okay, it looks as though we've lost Harcourt there. Perhaps, Peter, you can pick up from here because I know you're a close-knit group, so you keep each other informed.
Yes, there are tremendous, especially since the advent of the Zoom operations. There are a tremendous amount of Combermere chats, and we have been trying to engage those people to make sure that everybody can come as a fist and make sure that whenever we are doing anything, it resonates to the fullness and the for the school. So we are tapping into all of those chats. We are tapping into people in the UK. We are tapping into those in Canada. Definitely, we are engaging with those across the USA landscape. So yes, we're trying to engage as many Combermerians and not only Combermerians. Anybody that has any sympathy towards Combermere, who has a family, friends, relatives that have been to Combermere, we are asking them to also come on board with us for this continuing fundraising and upliftment of the Waterford plant.
Okay, let's go back now to Pluming Wings and in terms of the admission and so on. Now, we know some tickets are available for sale, but you're also talking about the possibility of having pay-per-view available. Tell me about that aspect of it.
Well, on ground, we have a very professionalized team like the council, and she has been doing very well with getting us all the information that is would be necessary for that pay-per-view situation. At this time, I'm not going to try to explain it in any really detail because I do not have all the requisite technical information on that. But I know that it is getting ready, and I know that people are starting to call in to find out where can they purchase the particulars for the concert.
Okay, yes, I believe that they're available from ticketlinks.com and the pay-per-view is
Yes.
also available there. So the concert is one price, the pay-per-view is another. And I guess that's because those who will be at the concert will also be a part of the cocktail reception. You're back with us now, Harcourt. We were talking about the actual concert on the day and, you know, some of what it has to give. How does it make you feel as a Commonwealthian when you see that some of Barbados' finest musicians actually walk through those hallowed halls?
Well, once we get to Waterford, we are a big family, and anything that a Combamarian does makes us proud. And something like this to put together an event like this means a lot. It is, you are able to look and see, well, here is the result. Here's the result of some years of hard work. Those persons who have gone to school at Waterford, Combamare is not a multi-focus. So we are to bring students to make sure that their talents are honed and they're able, as they go through school and after school, to get these talents out there and show off to the country and to the world what we have done in Waterford.
Okay, now let's look at the attendance to the concert. What will patrons have to do, Hardcourt, in terms of being able to sit in that audience at Frank Parliament Hall?
Sorry, I missed that one, Randy.
No, I asked in terms of the patrons coming out to the event and following up on COVID protocols. Is there anything that they specifically need to know?
Yes, certainly vaccinated persons they are going to be to take the forefront, and then we will have to, those who are not vaccinated then would have to produce a negative test to enter the hall.
Okay, so we are adhering to all of the protocols.
Yes,
so
we definitely are. Yes.
Pluming Wings, Sunday, April 24th. Gentlemen, let's hope that it will come off on this date and nothing else will stop or block it, because we want to get that sporting facility ready for those sportsmen who are at Commonwealth. I want to thank you so much for coming this morning, Mr. Peter Headley, who is with the Commonwealth Alumni Association of the USA, and Harcourt Racing, who's with the Commonwealth School Old Scholars Association. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us this morning. Barring technical issues, we know that we'll get it together, and here's up and on to you this morning.
Thank you so much, Randy.
Not a problem, gentlemen. Enjoy your day. Morning Barbados, we'll be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now, the 2021 RF National Distinguished Teachers Awards held a virtual ceremony on the 16th of March, where they would have awarded 10 top teachers across the island at the various levels for their outstanding service and inspiring students across Barbados at all levels. This morning, I want to welcome Miss Andrea Baptiste, who's the principal at Grisette's Primary School, and Philippa Burton Selby, who's at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, usually when we see these awards and so on go out, it's usually a senior teacher or junior teacher, but here we have you now, Andrea, as principal at Grisette's. How many of your students and parents were there cheering you on?
Well, I can only assume that I had many parents and children in jubilation, but I believe you really want to know how come I have arrived here as principal. This, I think, is the first time that a principal would have been nominated. But the truth is, I believe my nomination started when I was just a senior teacher at my alma mater. So that is really where it started.
Okay, so it was not Grisette's alone that did it for you.
No.
Okay, and what is your alma mater?
The Ellerslie School.
Okay. Be proud of the Black Rock Institution. Yes.
I tell you.
Oh, yes.
University,
yes, and you're not far away now because Grisette's is just, you're just around the corner now. So it's all good. And Philippa Burton Selby, you are on the other side of the island, all the way in St. Lucie. Yes. Now, when you found out that you were in winner's row, I mean, what was your first reaction?
I was first hearing that I was being nominated. I am not the type that want to be out there. I was like, I am not sure I want this, so please leave me alone. But when I finally, it felt really good as being a learning support special ed teacher to be recognized, especially for at a school like Darrell Jordan, where we always hearing all of these negative things, and we have great things going on at Darrell Jordan. And it will also be something not just for me, but it is putting my school out there as well. Because a lot of people have a lot of really weird perceptions about Darrell Jordan Secondary, and we are doing wonderful work in the north.
Yes, that you are, especially with that steel band and the chorale and so on that you have going on down there. There's a lot going on, rural schools matter. Let's let them know
Definitely.
that. They do.
Definitely.
Now, Andrea, you said that you were at the Ellerslie School. You're now principal at a primary school. How have you found the transition?
The transition was quite easy. I actually started in primary school. I was at a number of primary schools in Barbados originally. That's where my journey as a teacher started. I went over to secondary school sometime, a long time, a very long time ago. I don't want to say because, you're going to start guessing my age, but a very long time ago, I was advised, with my degree at the time, it was felt that maybe I would have functioned better or I would have added more value to the secondary school. And
what was your specialty there?
English, literature and language.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, we are always talking about children and Barbados's literacy rates and, in terms of moving from one to the other, do you see, and for children, especially with dyslexia and so on, not being detected, what would you recommend if you had the power to change it, to be able to bridge that divide there and make sure that all of our children get what is necessary in terms of that reading foundation?
Well, I truly think that many schools are doing, a fantastic job in assisting our students. I want to say that one of the very first things that I would push, and I always push, um, is diagnosing our students' deficiencies. I strongly believe in diagnostic testing. I believe that if we know for sure what the issues are, rather than just a one size fits all. We're just simply teaching everybody the same way. Um, if we diagnose, we are able then to treat whatever situations or whatever deficiencies, I should say, that our students have. It is the same thing in the medical profession. You just do not go and give medication if you do not know what is the ailment, what is the issue. So that is the very first place to start in bridging that gap that are in helping our students who have issues. And
Okay.
of course, I am one person who promotes differentiated instruction as well. Every child in a classroom um, will not learn the same way, and therefore you are not to treat every child the same way or
Okay.
teach every child.
Now, Philippa, this is an area which you too would have some experience in. How do you find it dealing and coping with these issues? And also, too, given that some of the parents would have been responsible for nominating you as well as the students, do you find that they are open-minded when you speak to the fact that, you have detected certain deficiencies and maybe they should seek redress in this way or that?
Okay, first, I think we at the schools like Darrell Jordan, St. George Secondary, Brantley Adams, we are seeing so many students who are coming to us who have never been diagnosed. We are seeing so many students that are not reading at all. And this is one of the biggest problems we are dealing with right now. Parents, by the time a number of the students arrive at our schools, we are trying now to begin assessing, like this last couple of months, we have been assessing new students who have been coming in. We were doing it online. Now we are back on the ground. We are there doing it. Parents, some of them have reached the point where they're frustrated. They were believing that their children were not getting help. Sometimes I would hear a child say, for the first time, I feel like I'm beginning to learn. And I think we have to begin to change the way how we go about doing things. My colleague is saying that we have a lot of programs in place, but the schools that we are at, we are getting those students who are definitely not, a lot of them are not reading, they're not coping. And we have to now begin work basically from what should have been primary work, we are now starting within the secondary school system. I have students who cannot read anything at all. So we are missing somewhere along the line the diagnosing and getting these programs started. I have a good relationship on the part about the parents. With most of my parents, they are interested in getting help, and then there are some who obviously over the years you have developed this level of frustration. There are some who do not understand what their children sometimes are going through, because you have children who have never been diagnosed with dyslexia first thing, and then we are recognizing it at 12 and 13 entering our schools. Then you are seeing a lot of students with attention deficit disorder, where a lot of them cannot concentrate to sit down and do the work that is required. So we have a whole set of problems then to begin to deal with outside of behavioral issues. So it becomes a really, really big problem. But
So I guess you are deserving of that award, given that you have had all this work to do on the ground, in the classroom, and then you're still expected to turn out a well-rounded student who can then enter the world of work.
Yes, and it is not just for me. I think we have a wonderful staff at Darrell Jordan Secondary. We work well together. and it is important. In all the departments, you have people who are working well at the end of their school life. We have children excelling in the area of the same music you were mentioning, but we have students who are coming back and getting their CXCs in English. We have people who are doing very well in terms of art. They're doing very well in Spanish, in different areas that you would think, well, I didn't expect some of these students to do well. But at the end of the day, we are not miracle workers. We still need some additional resources. We need some additional support.
But what about you? What about you, Andrea? Do you have a magic wand? She says we're not miracle workers, but maybe perhaps as a principal, you might have a bit more resources available to you than, say, maybe some teachers at the other end.
The answer is no. I do not have a magic wand, but like my colleague, I must say that I do have a very supportive staff. I did have a supportive staff when I was a senior teacher at the Ellerslie School. At Grisettes now, yes, we have our communities of practice where we are learning communities where we would sit and we would discuss where our children are at. Just yesterday, we had a meeting with the infants department, and we had discussions centered around those students in classes, that seem to be falling behind, and we came up with some solutions because we're also solutions oriented. We're not just talking about, oh, this child isn't reading, this child isn't doing this or the next. We actually sat down yesterday evening and we pulled our wisdom, not our ignorance, we pulled our wisdom, and we came up with some decisive plans of action to address some of the situations that we have, particularly with students who seem to be falling behind as a result of all of the learning loss that we have
had as a result of COVID.
Of the pandemic. Yes, definitely.
But do you think there's going to be enough catch-up time at this point, for either of you? What course do we need to be on now? Our final takeaways before we go, ladies.
I don't, when people say about catching up, I think right now, like some of my students they're back in school, they're building relationships again. We were like, I don't feel like I'm teaching. Because some days the students just want to talk, they want to engage you. And you have to realize we have to give them the opportunity to make up that time, and they will get there. Our students in particular, it's going to be harder, but with time, we're going to get there. I don't think, as I said before, there is no quick way. You can't, like I always say, you can't plant a tree and attach a pulley to it and make it grow. So it has to take time. And therefore, over the next couple of years, we will have to wait and see what happens.
Well, let's hope that when we are waiting to see, we will see the results that you all have been nurturing and that our children deserve. And that's improvement, and that's continuous learning and inspiration as they move from one area to the other. I want to congratulate you again, ladies, on winning your RF National Distinguished Teachers Award. And I also wish you all the best as you prepare for the school day today. Have a great morning.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
When Morning Barbados returns, we'll have an update on the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now to hear what's happening news-wise with Shane Seeley.
Thank you, Randy. Here's your headline news for this Tuesday, March the 22nd. Police are this morning probing the stabbing death of a St. Michael man. Dead is 29-year-old Shay Gibbons, who was killed near his home in Harbour View, Pinelands last night. Lawmen say the incident occurred around 8:40 p.m. and on responding to the scene, they found the victim lying motionless with several wounds about his body. Ambulance personnel found no sign of life on examination, and Gibbons was pronounced dead by a medical practitioner on the scene. We'll bring you more details as they become available. In other news, the Barbados Light and Power Company today shedding some light on reasons behind recent frequent power outages across the country. In a statement, the Manager of Communications and Government Relations, Jackie Marshall-Clark, reveals three main problems plaguing the network. She told the Morning Report the first is what she calls third-party incidents or vehicular accidents involving the company's utility poles and lines. According to her, there has been a spike in these incidents in recent weeks.
We've also seen the impact of high winds. Occasionally, strong winds can cause power lines to come into contact with each other or cause tree branches to bend or break and contact the lines, creating a network fault. Kites on power lines can create a similar fault and can result in outages for customers too. We have been dealing with such occurrences in communities. As an example, last week, as a crew dealt with one kite incident in the Grisettes area, another report almost at the same time from the Goodland district required the same response from that service crew. Unsafe kite flying practices can damage transmission and distribution infrastructure, but more so, lead to power outages for our customers, if not as an immediate fault, later as a temporary disruption of power supply to customers in order to safely remove the kite from the lines.
That's the BLMP manager there speaking about the two other issues faced by the company, which go hand in hand, high winds and kites, with the latter proving to be a real nuisance for the company at this time. A total of 67 cases, 67 new cases of COVID-19, 32 males and 35 females would have tested positive on Sunday out of 541 tests conducted by the Best dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The cases comprise 14 youngsters under the age of 18 and 53 people who were 18 years and older. There were 48 people in isolation facilities while 907 were in home isolation. Meanwhile, two women ages 55 and 60 succumbed to the virus on Sunday. They were both unvaccinated. As at March 20th, the viral illness had claimed 329 lives. An assurance from the Labour Minister this morning that the National Insurance Scheme is not in danger of going bust and that funds will be made available. He made the point during an interview with Lisa Lord in One-on-One episode produced by the Public Affairs Department. Ms. Jordan says government has made a commitment to ensure the social safety security nets are maintained for citizens.
In terms of if the money is there, that is one of the questions that people will ask. Is the money going to be there? We've been very clear that governing is about choices. Plain and simple, governing is about choices. We choose to make sure that our social security system, that our social protection mechanisms are always well funded, always well provided for.
Debate on the Appropriations Bill 2022 continues today in the Senate, and yesterday, after accepting the oath to serve in the upper chamber, Government Senator Gregory Nichols issued a call for government to consider submitting a bid to host the final of the 2024 ICC Men's T20 World Cup. He says it's clear events like these definitely benefit tourism in a big way, as seen with the recent test match between the West Indies and England hosted at Kensington Oval. With approximately 10,000 British supporters on island, he said a lot of business, particularly those in accommodation, rental cars, restaurants and even service stations, have all seen an upturn in their fortunes. Additionally, Senator Nichols stresses the island has the capacity to accommodate and facilitate sporting events of this magnitude.
We have had so far, Mr. President, since the stadium was rebuilt at Kensington Oval, 3 World Cup finals of ICC tournaments. We had the World Cup 50 over in 2007, and in 2010 we had the women's and men's T20 international final at Kensington Oval. We have the capacity to host beyond that of many other Caribbean countries and our neighbors. We have certain competitive advantages in terms of the rooms, and we have the hotels, we have the restaurants, we have the infrastructure. And the truth is that people like Barbados.
And finally, Wendy, just to put the spotlight on what is happening today. Today is actually World Water Day and is being celebrated under the theme Groundwater, Making the Invisible Visible. So the focus is on our fresh water, our groundwater, and protecting that resource. Of course, you'll hear more on Water Wednesdays tomorrow and later on in our subsequent newscasts. It's back over to you, Wendy.
Well, thank you, Shane. And as we know, water is the source of life. So let's keep our underground water protected, people. Stop all the illegal dumping. Now, this morning, before we go to the break, we're going to show you a few more images of that Rock Your Socks. People really came out yesterday in support of Down syndrome. And remember, there's a bank account which you can donate to. You can also feel free to call the association. They're available. You can find them on Facebook, and you can donate to them directly as well. They were out there rocking their socks, whether it be school children, corporate offices, individuals just enjoying their day off at home. They all came out and were a part of it. Even our own staff made sure that they got on board for the day with the Rock Your Socks initiative. So Down syndrome will again be looked at in the month of October with some extra special activities. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to Morning Barbados. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship and being able to access some funds to be able to start that small business. With us, we have Reverend Reginald Knight. He is a business development consultant with Barbados Trust Loans, and Nisha Holder, who is the Senior Business Development Officer there at Barbados Trust Loans. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Nisha, if we can start off, for those who may not know what trust loans is all about, what would you tell them are your general offerings? What services do you provide?
Well, good morning. We offer small business financing to startup businesses as well as existing. Our loan is up to $5,000 at a 5% interest rate, which is the best that you'll find in the island. We have a payback period, a maximum payback period of 3 years. And along with the financing, we have the business development department that I'm a part of. We offer training programs, which would take them through the steps of small business management, financial literacy, customer service techniques, as well as marketing, which usually includes social media marketing. And apart from that, we take them through the clustering initiatives that we may have. And we also do the client highlights as well.
Okay, if I can move now to Reverend Knight and the whole issue of the clusters. It's something that you've been pushing in the community, and you have been helping to spearhead some of those community initiatives. Tell me a bit more.
Well, good morning again. Just to shed a bit of light, well, as part of our ongoing commitment really to our clients and to assist our clients and the clients in building sustainable businesses, we thought that it would be a good idea to venture out into the community and make that impact on the community by way of such initiatives as our clusters, for example. And really the clusters really are designed to bring those businesses such as for example, our wine clusters, agriculture, whichever clusters they may be, from jewelry makers, bring them all together in one place and have them networking with each other, while at the same time being able to expose and to show to the rest of the community, wider Barbadian community, what they have to offer.
Okay.
And that is one of the ways in which we allow for persons as well to be able to see what our young people are doing and what our people in Barbados are doing, and the good work that they continue to do over time.
Okay. Now, you said exposure to the public. Now, Nisha, you're going to be having some upcoming fairs, I believe, and an expo. Tell me about it.
Yes, please. Well, this week, we're working with the Ministry of Energy and Business Development. They're going to be having their Warren's Business Fair on Friday at the Ministry's car park, which is the one opposite Massey in Warren. So you guys can come on down. We'll have a slew of various agencies there, as well as the Barbados Trust Fund Limited. So if you need any more information, you can come see us there as well. But we'll be showcasing our clients who are mainly in manufacturing. So we're going to have some of the clients from our wine cluster. We're going to have someone who manufactures furniture, who does icicles, cakes, and so on. And we would have also partnered with the BEF and the St. Leonard's Boys School to bring off the Mr. Executive Challenge. So the boys from St. Leonard's who would have excelled in that challenge are also going to be there as well.
Well, that's good, because it's always great to start with the youth if we're talking entrepreneurship, as opposed to pushing the concept that I have to go work for someone else. Now, Reverend Knight, I understand that we're also going to be looking at doing some community pop-ups.
Right. The community pop-ups, they begin from as early as April 30th. But prior to that, and that's the bigger ones. But we have a small pop-up which will be taking place on April 2nd. This will be at Jordan's Supermarket, Fitz Village in St. James. And that will be a wine, one of the members of our wine clusters who will be at Jordan's showcasing her product. Alongside of that, we then have our bigger pop-up slash clusters where we will have a coming together of all of those persons at the St. James Parish Church, using the entire grounds of the St. James Parish Church, and we will invite persons from within our client portfolio, also persons who are in the community who may have small businesses, giving them the opportunity to come together once again and highlight their product, whatever services they have to offer, whether it be, again, whether we're talking about wine, whether we're talking about food, whether we're talking about furniture, and be able to have an expo kind of experience, but at the same time, allowing for our communities to come, take part, make it a family experience, really, and seeing what we do. I said it earlier, we need to be able to recognize the good work that Barbadians are doing across this island. A lot of
Okay.
them are undiscovered, and this is an opportunity for us to be able to do that. And BTFL is prepared to help our people, really get out there and show their stuff.
Apart from showing your stuff, Nisha, you've also been encouraging them to talk and hear the experiences of others. How's the Let's Talk Entrepreneurship series going?
The Let's Start Entrepreneurship series, we would have had the first one last week, Tuesday, and it was really good. It was really informative. To those of you who were not able to view it, you can still see it via our Instagram page or our YouTube channel at Barbados Trust Fund Ltd. And we're really using that show to not only highlight the key areas that small businesses need to know about, but also as a channel to highlight our clients and what they have been doing and what they've been excelling at and the various challenges they may have faced due to COVID and how they overcame those challenges as well.
Okay, well, that's awesome to know. Now, Reverend Knight, I listened to you carefully, and you noted that big business as well as the church have been two of the institutions coming on board to help these smaller producers, smaller manufacturers with their businesses and services. Was it a hard sell to get them to donate space for these pop-ups and so on, or do you find the fund has good working relations with the community at large?
Well, what has surprised me is the way in which persons responded to the initiatives. And for example, the church. The church has a responsibility, and the church's responsibility really is to try to help in the community and to help our people to continue to grow and to flourish as much as they can and to do good. And so the churches who we approached were very prepared to assist us in any way. Bigger businesses who we have spoken to as well and asked for assistance in providing locations and of such like have been more than supportive. And, we thank them for that, because you get the feeling that everybody is on board with this thing. And if we're supposed to be really looking at growing our economy and growing our countries, having our country to grow and move forward, we really need to have the support of all of these institutions coming on board, supporting our people and helping us to get Barbados to the next level. And that is what the Barbados Trust Fund is about, being part of that.
Well, we're happy that you're pushing them to that next level, and that we will soon be seeing the emerging entrepreneurial class with a number of different innovative concepts and ideas. I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Reverend Reginald Knight, who's a business development consultant, and Nisha Holder, who's the Senior Business Development Officer with Barbados Trust Loans. Here's hoping that your pop-ups work and that all of the new services and products that you have on offer are readily taken up by our consumers. Have a great morning.
Well, we're looking forward to an exciting year ahead, and we want to encourage all of Barbados to get on board with us and be part of this as we help ourselves to help our country to move forward. And we really hope that persons will be, the entire Barbadian community can become part of this.
Yes, and I'm sure they will. Thank you once again, Reverend Knight and Miss Holder. Do have a great morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we are so excited about the level of support that was shown yesterday. I mean, we said for you to, send your information in ahead of or programmed so we could see how you rocked your socks. And they really, really have been adhering to the call. I mean, here's some more socks. They came from near and far, country schools, rural residents, wherever they were. Teachers got involved, ancillary staff. It was amazing just how many people were all in for this initiative. And especially given that, you know, we're not that long back into face-to-face return to school, but it was really good to see them all out and about yesterday, taking part and being part of that inclusion, which the theme was for World Down Syndrome Day yesterday. When we come back, we'll be talking with our pediatrician or doctor on the line. We'll be talking about a number of issues relating to hair and nail loss. We'll see you in a bit.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now, one of the first photos to come in yesterday morning was our very own Dr. Gillian Birchwood, the consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at the QEH. Some lovely colors there that she has on. Dr. Birchwood, good morning to you.
Good morning. You're making me laugh.
Now, today we're going to be looking, yes, it was fun, but let's remember what the cause is about. And when I heard that, you know, the organization received $30,000 from government, that's not a little drop in the bucket. I'm sure it's going to go a long way. Yeah, so, and others, we encourage them to continue to give to the organization. Now, today we're going to be looking at some common problems in the hair and nails of our children. Hair loss, is it in every child at every stage of development, or is it a peculiar thing because of an illness?
Well, that's one of the main concerns, a big concern that we have with parents. When we have little babies who are first born, many of them are born with lots of hair. Some are born bald, of course, but all babies, regardless of how much hair they're born with, all of them will lose hair at some point. For many babies, they will lose hair in patches, which of course is very distressing to parents, but they still look so absolutely sweet with their little fuzzy wuzzy head. And that hair loss in the first couple of months of life is definitely not concerning. And the hair will grow back in somewhere between 6 to 12 months. So by the time the child is a year old, you should no longer have a little fuzzy wuzzy. They should definitely have hair clearly growing back in. And sometimes the hair loss is patchy because you may see hair loss on the back of the head because babies are lying down a lot of the time, especially in the first few months, and that also is not concerning. So that hair loss is quite common and not worrisome. But as children get older, there may be other causes of hair loss. such as a condition called seborrheic dermatitis, much more commonly known as cradle cap. And that is where you have these greasy flakes. It looks like, dry scalp or dandruff. And when parents are trying to remove the scales, they may also remove some of the hair. But fear not, that will grow back. But some diseases can also cause hair loss, such as ringworm, which fortunately is not caused by a worm, but by a fungus. And it can leave big bald patches or several patches of bald hair on a child's scalp. And that requires treatment with shampoos and oral medication. And then you can have a condition like lupus, which is not very common in children, but can also show up with bald patches on the scalp. And you can see this in older children. You're not going to see this typically in very young children, but you'll see this in children in the older age group. Okay. So depending on the age of your child, you may have different causes of hair loss.
Now, are there any products that I should use or should avoid in terms of this hair loss?
Well, when you're taking care of your child's hair in general, one of the important things to remember is that simple is best. So you don't want to be plastering products with a lot of chemicals all over your child's hair. So you'll want to avoid certain chemicals. For example, products that contain aluminum, parabens, silicone, alcohol, sulfates. These are products that can be damaging or dehydrating to your child's hair. And nowadays, I find there are a lot more products with, a lot more natural ingredients. So they may not even have these in the first place, but you want to check your label. And you want to see products that have a high quantity of natural products, such as aloe or shea butter, moisturizing agents. So you check your labels and make sure that you see high quantities of those. Those are the products that you're going to want to select to use on your precious little one's hair. Much healthier.
Let's now move to the nails. And if my child sucks its thumb, which seems to be the finger of choice, but then there are also those who suck the index finger and the middle finger together. Yes. This was a norm in my family, these two. I don't know how they get it done. But should I be worried about it?
Well, thumb sucking is really normal in very young children and babies. It helps them to soothe themselves. It helps them to go to sleep. It's something that they have developed from even in the womb. But most children will stop sucking their thumbs somewhere between 2 and 4 years of age. But if you have a child who's a persistent thumb sucker, it can definitely cause problems. I'm sure all of us have seen children where their teeth are pushed out and up. That's called an overbite, and that can be a permanent thing if they don't stop sucking their thumb. Or if they're putting pressure on the lower teeth, you can see those teeth pushed in, which is also not a good thing. They can even change the shape of their face if they suck long and hard enough. So it can become a problem for some children. And you're going to definitely want to try to discourage them as they get older. And there are different techniques that you can use to discourage children from sucking their thumb. You definitely want to avoid that as much as possible.
Okay. Now, if I see my child's nails looking a different color, what should I be concerned? Is it just maybe a nail fungus, or is it something more serious?
Well, especially in children who suck their thumb, you may see discoloration of the nail if they have been sucking long enough. But even in children who are not thumb suckers, sometimes you will see discolored nails. And it could be, again, a simple nail fungus. For example, if the child has traumatized the nail, that's an entry point for infection. A nail fungus is something you can certainly see, but you can also just have a bacterial infection of the nail, and we call an infection of the nail a paronychia. So it can be caused by bacteria or funguses most commonly. And you will see a darkening of the nail bed. And because nails grow slowly, you may not notice it at first until the nail starts to grow out, and then you see the discoloration. And that's something that you will definitely want to go to your doctor for. You may require antifungal medication for several months because nails grow slowly, or you might deal with antibiotics depending on the cause, but it takes time for the nails to grow out. In addition to that, some conditions like psoriasis, which can affect the hair and nails, can cause nails to be very discolored and brittle and to fall out. And that it means that the treatment is going to be different, but your doctor will be able to tell the difference.
So falling out, does that then perhaps maybe if the child is above a certain age do damage to the nail bed, or make it take even longer for the nail to return?
Well, fortunately not. Nails can sometimes abruptly fall out because of an infection or an illness that the child has been through. So, for example, sometimes the child will have a fever or a particular type of virus for a few days, and a few weeks later, the nails drop out, which can be quite alarming to parents. But in those situations, almost universally, nails would grow back out very nicely, and you will actually see quite normal looking nails. So that's what happens in the majority of cases, especially where it's been a response to a viral or an illness associated with a fever. And even with psoriasis and nail infections, once they're well treated, then the nails will usually grow back out quite nicely. So it might be alarming, but usually the outcome is good.
Okay, and before you go, in terms of the scalp and the hair loss, is there anything else that we should be guarded against in terms of like various external environmental dangers that could perhaps lead to hair loss?
Yes, those hairstyles that we give our children, particularly girls. So if we have tight hairstyles, you know how it is the week before school starts, the weekend, sometimes parents will take their child to have their hair braided. And in order to make it last, sometimes the hairstyle is made very tight. I want to caution against that because if there's consistent pulling along the hairline, then what this does is it will cause the hair to drop out and sometimes permanently result in hair loss. We call that traction alopecia, and it's unfortunately common in our society because of the tight hairstyles. So it's lovely to see braided hair, but make sure that the styles are not too tight because you can actually have permanent hair loss, especially along the hairline. So that's one thing you can do to protect your child's hair.
What about boys if we see them balding a little too early?
Well, again, that is something that usually would be associated with an underlying condition. They would need to be seen whether, again, it's a ringworm or if they have an underlying condition such as lupus or another rheumatological type disorder that's very uncommon. Sometimes children have hair loss related to something like chemotherapy. But also deficiency can cause hair loss in children, and that's something I forgot to mention. And so if you see hair loss of a particular type, sometimes you need to check to make sure they have enough iron in their diet, which is sometimes a problem for young children. And so giving iron back to the diet will result in regrowth of lovely, fluffy hair that might have been missing from before. So hair loss can be a sign of something important.
Okay, so we have to be looking out for those hairlines and those nails to make sure that our little ones are doing well and growing as they should. Dr. Birchwood, always a pleasure to have you here with us, and I'm happy that you rocked your socks, and I know that you're on board with the association and all the good work that it's doing. Yes.
Excellent cause. Thank you so much.
All right, you have a wonderful morning.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. When Morning Barbados returns, we'll be talking real estate. And we're back on Morning Barbados. Welcome to those of you who may be joining us late. It's time now for us to talk real estate. And this morning, when Sharita Odell joins us, we'll be talking about what to do if you inherit a house. Good morning to you, Sharita.
Hi, good morning, Wendy.
Now, it's not that often that, things might be willed to you or just given to you as a wedding gift, however it comes for whatever reason. But we now find ourselves in possession of a home we didn't have before. What's the first thing to do?
Well, make sure you keep the home alive, at least while the process of it being transferred to whomever is going on. As you know, with the passing of loved ones, sometimes you have the probate process, which can take quite a while. You don't want the house to deteriorate during that time. So it's important to at least quickly try to find out if any insurance is owed on it, property taxes, keep the utilities going, because remember, if electricity is off for more than 6 months and that house isn't up to code, you may have to rewire it. And those are the types of things initially that you want to ensure you do, just to keep the house still breathing and going while any legal process has to take place.
Okay, once that legal process is over and it's now lock, stock, and barrel mine, as we would say, how do I determine what I'm going to do with it? Whether I want to live in it, let another family member live in it, or rent it out, or perhaps subdivide it and do it as rooms. How do I get to that final decision?
Well, before you get there, first of all, you want to make sure that legally you have papers stating it's yours. Letters of administration, in combination with a will, etc. Whatever it takes legally to state that it's yours, you might realize that it's yours along with siblings, etc. So this is where you have to come together, and unfortunately there's often a lot of not coming together at this time. But you want to make sure, even before you decide what are we going to do with it, that everything is still in order. So remember, I spoke briefly about insurance. You need to go now to that insurance company and find out how easy might it be to transfer insurance into my name during the period of downtime. Could I have done something to ensure that it was still covered? Because you don't want that the house got blown up during the probate period and no one gets anything. So make sure from the very beginning you have a discussion with the insurance company in terms of names, transferring it, or if you have to start fresh. And also make sure in terms of the mortgage, what do we do? Is there a major balance? That will kind of dictate how you go forward. Because if you realize there are loads of arrears, you might not want to take this on as your burden, and therefore may have to make a decision with your siblings or you alone in terms of, shall we dispose of it to ensure that the financial institution is covered? Should we refinance a mortgage, keeping in mind that this may then incur higher mortgage payments for you? So those are the things that you think of at onset.
But what if there are absolutely no encumbrances on the property?
Good. Well, you have 3 personal decisions to make. Do you want to move in? And in thinking about that, look at the capacity to repay any bills. You see, oftentimes I've seen persons inheriting large properties and they remember all the sentimental charm to it and I want to move into daddy's house, not realizing that it costs probably $1 million a year to upkeep daddy's 1-acre lawn, and the termite treatment that alone is $3,000 because the house is so big. The tiles are about to be blown, so you have to replace those. Count the cost. Is it worth it to move in besides feeling that fuzzy-wuzzy emotional feeling? Secondly, going back to if there's a large set of arrears and debt tied to the property, do you want to continue claiming that as yours? Or is it time, sadly, to dispose of the property where the proceeds of the sale can hopefully then help to cover any costs? Right? So you have the move-in option, the selling it option. And if things are not too bad, you might decide maybe we should rent it out. But even in terms of renting it out, you still have to make sure that that house is up to scratch for rental purposes. You can't expect to inherit an almost derelict house and talk about I'm renting it. You still have to inject money to ensure that it's in order.
Okay, you want to make sure that it is up to code. Now, once the decision has been made, rent, sell, and especially if it's among siblings, should we draw up set agreements with our siblings to say, this is how the portion of the rent will be divided. This is how we will share the insurance costs. Should we do that?
You better had. You often find with siblings that when the parents were alive, sometimes it was, Mommy Joyce that was actually helping to keep Ruben, June, and Steve together. And now that Mommy Joyce is gone, all hell breaks loose. Yes. And you would know at sibling level how tight you are or not. If you're not tight, you march your butt down to that attorney's office and you get something sealed, signed, and delivered. If, however, you have an amicable relationship, still put something on paper that all three of you have the opportunity to sign, saying these are our obligations. The written word is always better and more binding than anything coming out of your mouth.
And it will hold up in the court of law should we need to dispose of the property if all does not work out. So,
correct.
That's what you do if you need to inherit, if you do inherit a house. Before we go, any other thing that we should be on the lookout for in terms of inheriting?
I would always recommend to clients, I see it a lot of the time, they often want to do right by the person who is deceased. And sometimes their idea of doing right has them bound to debt and emotional draining and fatigue for years. Because daddy put his blood, sweat, and tears into acquiring this 6 acres of land with this house, I don't want to sell it. But yeah, I can't rent it because I can't afford to fix it up. And I don't want to live in it because I have my own family and life elsewhere. And that helps to explain the number of derelict properties that we see around the island. Okay. Oftentimes, the result of family disputes, oftentimes the result of not wanting to offend mommy, so I can just left it there, and it's sad. So I would say once you have grieved properly and got over the emotional hurdle of the passing of a loved one, sit down and think rationally about what is going to give you, the living person, peace, sanity, wholeness for years to come.
Okay, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning, Sharita Odell, our real estate agent. You can find her on IG at Agent Sharita. She's also on Facebook at Barbados Real Estate 246. Sharita, have a pleasant Tuesday.
You too.
When Morning Barbados returns, we will be talking fitness. But let's leave you with a couple more socks as we get ready to find out what we're going to do today in terms of Thorn. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Morning Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morningbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
This fitness segment is brought to you with the compliments of Powerade, Feel the Power, and Dasani Water. Connect mind and body.
Time now to talk fitness with Thornwood on Morning Barbados. This morning we are going to be looking at ourselves. We're going to be talking about self-care, self-love, and motivation, because we need all of those things to help get us into that place of fitness, both in mind and body. Morning to you.
Morning, Wendy. How you doing?
I am great this morning, you know.
Right. You're decked out today on me, though. Like, I ain't got any memo. You know what I mean? I got my little shirt.
It's okay.
No branded shirt today.
Yes.
This is a mixture of...
Just okay.
Yeah, this just okay. This is a mixture of Yui and I'm forgetting your laundry at the dry cleaner.
Oh, okay. That's awesome then.
Yeah.
At least you're clothed.
Correct.
Right.
First of all, International Water Day. And I hope you guys are putting in your, it's supposed to be 8-ounce glasses of water that you're supposed to put in per day. So fun fact, when you are actually feeling thirsty, that's a sign of dehydration. Yep, that is a sign of dehydration, guys. That's the first signal. So you should generally be trying to put in that water intake, you know, just be a little more consistent. I'm not saying overdo, because you're not trying to put too much strain on the kidneys. You know what I mean? Obviously anything barring that, speak to your physician. But you know, try to put in a little more water today. You know, be a little more cognizant of it, and don't allow. I'm going back to yesterday with Down syndrome awareness. Don't allow these awareness days to be the end all be all. The awareness needs to continue after that. All right, it isn't just for that particular day.
No.
Right. So we can talk about a little bit about self-love. Now this just came to me on a post. I'm just gonna pull it out real quick. On a post that I saw yesterday on Instagram. Very astute personal trainer, super swell guy, and it said, no one actually cares about you if they're thinking about what you weigh, right? Well, let me read it differently. Yeah. So no one who actually cares about you will care about what you weigh. You are allowed to want to change how you look, but please only do it for you. The fastest way to be ugly is to try to be social media pretty. And I really think that message holds, that it rings loud to me, especially with all the social media that's out there, and how people are, you know, kind of attributing it to, well, I need to look this particular way, I need to fit into this particular category of body type, or I need to wear this.
And we're now addressing the issue of body shaming.
Correct.
Because sometimes people aren't always responsible for the size they're at, because there are other disorders, you know, conditions which actually predispose you to either being over or underweight.
That's correct. Like, you don't, at the same time with that, you don't know what that person could possibly be going through. You know, sometimes it's just okay to keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what that guy who's, and it goes to another post. Funny you said that. It goes to another post I saw on social media. It said, basically said, you know, that guy who is, you know, who weighs extra weights and is walking super slow on the treadmill, he might have had a family member that passed or something like that. He's now trying to get over it. Or that girl at the gym probably suffers with, you know, some kind of body dysmorphia or something like that. And she's now trying to get over that as well. So you genuinely don't want to know. But going back to self-love and self-care. Now, you guys need to remember to love yourself and love your body at each part of your journey, from beginning to end. So
so I shouldn't hate this extra 20 pounds
should
I'm
not,
at
nope,
now.
nope, definitely not. There's nothing to hate about the vehicle that allows you to traverse this plane in terms of getting into your car. You have the opportunity to wake up, you have the opportunity to live. You need to appreciate your body at every single juncture.
Hear that, folks?
Yeah. However, that is not an excuse for you to be unhealthy. So I think people kind of get caught up with the body positivity and it becomes a little bit misconstrued. Now there is healthy and there is unhealthy. That's a fact across the board.
Okay.
So do not for any fact decide to use the body positivity to say, oh well, I'm big, I guess now let me say big and beautiful. Big is beautiful at any juncture, but unhealthy is unhealthy. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and that kind of stuff, then you need to really nip that in the bud and pay attention.
Well, we're going to just nip out for a little bit, take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Thorn about this whole body positivity and what we need to be doing to show self-love.
This fitness segment is brought to you with the compliments of Powerade, Feel the Power, and Dasani Water. Connect mind and body.
And we're back with Thornwood talking fitness. Now, we were talking all about self-love and self-care, but there's some of us who our minds don't automatically take us there. We need some sort of impetus to push us, Thorn. We need to be motivated.
Yeah. And what I really like, and this is something, I always apply fitness to every aspect of life, right? I find, big shout out to Paul Sealer for this one, people almost exist in a state of trying. We're always trying to lose weight. We're trying to get up in the morning, trying to do X. You need to put your mind and your body in a perpetual state of doing, and actively, because it obviously starts in your mind first before you can get there. So you have to prepare your body, and in order to do that, you have to prepare your mind to step on and believe in yourself that, okay, I'm going to actively do this.
So no more I think I can.
No, I think I can. Yes.
I know I can.
I know I can, or I will do it, right? Okay. Too much of the time we spend a lot of time on, well, I can't afford this, or I can't afford a personal trainer, I can't make it to the gym. When you start visualizing and attacking in a state of do, and listening to things and looking for the things that you can actually do in that particular situation, then things just begin to unravel themselves and show you, okay, well, you have this leeway.
But you do know that procrastination is a prescription for the life of many.
most that is
saying.
Most definitely.
Just saying.
Most definitely. And if you procrastinate, then you will seldom succeed. That is the long and short of it. So just exist in a state of do, like continue to challenge yourself and challenge your mind. Wake up in the morning and set your mind on the goal of whether it be weight loss or gaining muscle, and like
or
I said,
drinking more water.
Or drinking more water. Like I said, guys, this is stuff that can be applied to like daily life. It doesn't only have to be with fitness.
What's your take on the motivation phrases being like jotted around the home, either in wall art or stickies on the fridge, or even they said water bottles that you have now with you're getting there, building up, doing the body well. What's your take on those type of messages?
I think those type of it can be very subjective. You have to know within yourself, and even as a trainer, every client is very different in terms of what motivates them and what's going to push them forward, right? I like to use the phrase something that motivation can be fleeting, and discipline is what comes into play when you lack motivation. But so they kind of got to go hand in hand. But going back to about having these signs, that's a beautiful idea, but it won't work for every single person. You have to know within yourself, or find that drive that pushes you, whether it be the same putting the pictures across the wall, or having a friend work out with you, or meeting a trainer, or meeting someone that is more physically active than you, that looks up to you. So it is for you to find what is your gas. Essentially, okay. I know gas kind of high right now, guys. I'm sorry for that one, but like, what is your gas?
What is going to push you to that point?
Exactly.
What's going to fuel your engine within?
Exactly. So what works for me, and I hope this helps someone as well. When I do wake up on mornings, I try to start my deep breathing. I'm in meditation, in through my nose, out through my mouth, I put on some music to set the day.
So can we go out quickly on one of those deep breath exercises?
Yep, so it's super simple. You're gonna just sit down, close your eyes, visualize the goal that you want to do. You're gonna take eight counts in your mind, inhale. I usually do it seated with my hands on the floor. So you're gonna inhale, you're gonna go inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, keep breathing in, 7, 8, deep exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And
6,
on that,
7, 8.
we're out of time, but we are not out of breath. So practice your breathing exercises. Remember to love yourself. Remember to care yourself, Thorn, and be motivated.
100%.
Morning Barbados. I'm Wendy Burke. Have a brilliant day.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.